Hello, Rama Pupudu. Hope all are in good health, feeling great, wonderful, having a happy and peaceful life. Now let's continue with S.S. Cohen. During this time, one of his other friends living thousands of miles away sent him a book by post. That was the turning point in Cohen's life. The book he received was Paul Brinton's A Search in Secret India. Reading it thrilled him because his life's ambition to sacrifice everything to be with the life transforming sage was about to be fulfilled. On reading the book describing many masters, Cohen's mind, like Major Chadwick's, was attracted only to the 3 chapters on Ramana Maharishi. His inner voice told him that this was the sage he had been yearning for. He packed his bags and left for Tiruvannamalai with 7,000 rupees in savings. He came to Ramana Ashramam in February 1936. Dressed in Western attire, he was ushered into the dining hall where Bhagavan was finishing his breakfast. Bhagavan, without even lifting his head, invited the stranger in a most sweet voice. Please come and have breakfast. When Cohen later recounted this, he was literally in tears. That was the beginning and the end of my spiritual journey. When he went in and saw Bhagavan seated wearing a loincloth, he immediately had the ecstatic feeling that he was in front of truth in human form. While Cohen was still in a state of ecstasy, Bhagavan went for his usual walk on the hill. When Bhagavan came back to the old hall from his walk, Cohen entered and sat in front of his guru. He could not control his emotions, which were welling up as spiritual ecstasy. This is what Cohen said. I was alone in the hall with Bhagavan. Joy and peace suffused my being. Never before have I had such a feeling of purity and well-being at the mere proximity of a person. My mind was already in deep contemplation of Bhagavan. Bhagavan not as flesh, although that was executively formed and future, but as an unsubstantial principle which could make itself so pronouncedly felt. After a while, I became aware of my environment and I saw Bhagavan looking at me with large, penetrating eyes, wreathed in smiles, rendered divinely soothing by childlike innocence. This is how Cohen was trapped. Seated in front of Bhagavan, totally lost, he suddenly realized he still hasn't changed his dress. He also remembered the fruits he had put into his suitcase to be offered to the master. But when he searched for his suitcase keys in his pocket, he couldn't find them. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Resigned to the turn of events, he sat with his eyes closed when he suddenly felt the clinking of keys on his lap. One of the devotees, Ramaswamy Pillai, had gone to the railway station on ashram work. The station master was waiting with a bunch of keys, expecting somebody from Ramana Ashramam because a westerner alighted. Perhaps you will be able to hand it over to him. The station master gave it to Ramaswamy Pillai. When Ramaswamy Pillai came back and told Bhagavan this, Bhagavan, pointing to Cohen, confirmed, "Whose keys are these? Indeed, they are his." Ramaswamy Pillai then dropped them in his lap. This was one of the series of miraculous miracles that the master was going to perform. Cohen had embarked on his journey to India to find the key to the mystery of life, and now he had confirmation that he had found it. Cohen had also brought with him a letter for Paul Brinton, who was staying in Ramana Ashramam at that time. As he went in search of Brinton to hand him the letter, he saw a Westerner seated at a table reading a book in one of the rooms. Thinking this was Brunton, he greeted him. Mr. Brunton, good morning. The Westerner replied, I am not Paul Brunton. I am Major A. W. Chadwick. Chadwick and Cohen became friends instantaneously. Chadwick continued, Paul Brunton had gone away. He will return in 2 days. When Paul Brunton came back, Cohen had a beautiful satsang with him and Chadwick talking for hours about the master and trying to get some of their doubts clarified. Now Paul Brunton was an intellectual and so was Cohen, which of course resulted, as it usually does, in heated discussion. The topic was celibacy. Paul Brunton did not believe in celibacy. However, Cohen maintained that it was vital for a spiritual seeker. He was convinced that for seekers, practices like sattvic food, celibacy, and satsang were all helpful. Brunton was unmoved. Then Chadwick told them, Why are you going on arguing? Let us go back and ask Bhagavan. They went to Bhagavan and Chadwick asked him, Bhagavan, is brahmacharya, celibacy, necessary for spiritual seekers? Bhagavan's method of answering was never just to solve the problem. His answers were always focused on dissolving it. He replied, To remain unmoved in Brahman is brahmacharya. The very word brahmacharya indicates that you should not move away from Brahman. So, staying unmoved in the I am is the very essential for seekers. This answer of Bhagavan, which led to instantaneous dissolution of the problem, made Cohen feel that he must study all the works of Bhagavan. He stayed in the ashram, became a permanent resident, and started studying all the books of Bhagavan. What he especially liked about Ramana Ashramam was that it was free from any form of control. Nobody was forced to attend meetings, classes, bhajans, or rituals. Let's continue in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Puppod.